Is a heat wave coming? Kia ora, I'm Philip Duncan. Thanks for joining us for our weekend weather update and the outlook for next week. And a lot of people are asking us about the temperatures that are coming in this weekend and next week. Does this classify as a heat wave? And it depends on your definition. It changes in different parts of the world. But basically, MetService's rule, which comes out of the Met Office in the UK, is 5 days with temperatures 5 degrees above normal. And that's pretty much what some parts of New Zealand are about to experience. In fact, some areas are going to be several degrees above normal, 9, 10 degrees above where they should be. Whether or not it lasts for 4 or 5 days, that's what we'll find out in the days ahead. But the North Island in particular and the upper South Island are good contenders for being in that heatwave category. Remember, a heatwave doesn't necessarily mean it's hot where you are. It just means it's above normal for 5 days. So let's take a look and see what is going on. This is the departure from normal temperature map. How much hotter is it compared to usual on Saturday? The colouring you see here is off the scale. It's at the bottom part. Well, not off the scale, but the bottom part of the scale, where it's 8 degrees and beyond above where it should be for this time of the year. Places like central Otago, over 10 degrees warmer than they should be for this time of the year. Other parts of Southland and Otago will be similar. The North Island not quite so hot on Saturday, but by Sunday, your turn to warm up. And by the way, your warming up doesn't mean the South Island gets cooler. It is very similar. So a huge portion of the country in that 8 degrees and above, warmer than normal trend as we kick off this weekend. And this warmer than average trend continues into next week as well, although there is a cool change coming for some in the south. So let's get into the forecast. Here is Saturday. Look at that. Wow, nice and easy. Big high in charge. Now you might be looking at the wind flow and going, why are we warmer than average when it's a sou'wester? But you just have to track the origins, and you're coming out of Australia and you go further beyond that and you're up into the subtropics. So subtropics warms up in Australia and then comes over our mountains and ranges and warms up a third time. So 3 different ways for it to become warmer than average as we go into the weekend. But the North Island, you've still got a bit of a southerly flow, and that's why you're not going to be that much warmer than average, although no one's colder than average on Saturday. By Sunday, the North Island gets the warmer winds, and again, it's a sou'wester, which is a little unusual. In our heads, we don't really think of that as being a hot wind, but it's coming out of the north. So it comes down, curves around, and moves up the country. Now, there will be some areas that don't get the heat, and I have to say that to Auckland. I'm sorry, but your Saturday doesn't look overly warm, a bit like your Friday today. And also Sunday, it's a little bit warmer, like you're up into the early 20s, so it's not that bad, but it's a little bit breezy and a little bit cloudy at times, still coming off the Tasman Sea. It's your normal November weather. Let's get into next week, and those winds die down around Auckland, so you've got a very nice start to next week. And by the way, all of next week in Auckland, your highs are above 20 degrees. So you might not be reaching the late 20s, but at least you're consistently mild with overnight lows in the double digits, because next week in the south, there is a bit of a change. Not so much on Monday. That's another warm day with the warm winds coming back down again. But by the time we get to Tuesday, there is a colder change coming in for Southland, Otago and the west coast. Your temperatures will drop by several degrees back down to normal. So it'll feel cold after the warm weather you've just had, but the warmer than average weather continues on for many other places further north. And our final map here for Wednesday of next week again shows a bit of unsettled weather around the South Island. Nothing major, but a few showers, and the temperatures have dropped in many places. In the north, it is still looking warmer than average. That's why the upper South Island, like Marlborough and parts of the North Island, are in that possible, heat wave potential. So we've got to have 5 days well above average coming up, and I think some of you will get it. We won't really know until the end of next week, but either way, next week, other than this little blemish around Tuesday and Wednesday, next week is dominated by the same weather pattern we've got this weekend, and you can even see just after that, more of these nor'westers, and these ones are coming out of Australia, so not cold, not yet anyway. That is all from me. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you again on Monday.